What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. It's a sad week. This week is PGA Show Week, and unfortunately, because of everything that's going on, there is no in-person PGA show that is going on, but there is a virtual PGA show. So if there is something that you are looking forward to, I am meeting with some vendors and talking to them about products. I'll kind of just give a recap this year of the show, but if there's something in particular that you are interested in, let us know, and happy to set up a meeting with them and try to find out as much as possible with them. So let us know down in the comments below if there's something you're looking at. Now, the other thing that comes along with this week is there's a lot of teaching and coaching seminars, summits, things like that. We just had our National Teaching and Coaching Summit that was virtual this year. We've had other things, so I'm excited to share some information that will really help you play better golf with those. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so today's video, we're going to talk more about something that's going to really hurt your golf game that I see a lot of people working on or trying to do, and that's going to be turning your hips. One of the most misunderstood things, something that's said all the time on golf broadcasts, really drives a lot of golf instructors crazy because there's a thing that happens in golf. Mostly what you can see on a camera is something that is caused by something else. That's stuff that we've learned with all this measurement, force plates, things like that. And you have to really understand that, or else you're going to really get screwed up. So we don't want that to happen. We want to help you play better golf. So let's talk about turning your hips. Now, again, make sure you click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. Do not miss out. We got more from the PGA show. I'm going to have more on wedges. We did have a great seminar about how to spin your wedges more. Can't wait to share a little bit of that with you. And we'll have more about how to swing the club and get better results because we've had some great knowledge passed along by some great instructors. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about turning your hips. So, the thing that happens with turning your hips, why is it a thing? Well, when we start looking at video, what do we notice when we see really, really good ball strikers? Well, what we notice is they are really, really good and hitting the ball, and when they do it, they typically have their hips turned open to the target line. So there's no denying, and we see this on 3D, that the hips are open. Okay, the hips are open, turning towards the target. The big thing that people don't understand is how do you get them open? There is a bigger difference than just turning them, because what happens is when you turn, most people will turn their hips, they fire their hips, and they do it by turning through their back. They're actually turning through their lower back. And so what happens is they get a lot of issues with disc problems, and they're just going to struggle with early extension. They're going to struggle with contact, all of that stuff. And they're actually going to lose speed doing this. They're going to hit it worse and be slower. That's a terrible combination. Now, what really happens when we are trying to turn our hips? Well, what you have to understand about turning your hips is it's actually use the ground and your hips will turn. Okay? The way your feet move pushing into the ground, that is going to make your hips turn. So, for example, what we typically see from players that hit the ball really well and hit it really powerfully is they take a backswing, and what we see is they will turn back and get their whole body turning into the backswing, and what we see is they typically extend up. We talked a little bit about that with our head movement in the last swing. They actually get themselves extending up. And then what they will do is they start to transition is they will then start to push into the ground, and this will typically lower them down. Now, what they're doing is pushing down like they're going to jump, and then that gets them loaded up and ready to go. And just by doing that, we're going to see their hips turn back to where they look like they're square to the target, and that's already starting to make some hip motion, hip turning going on. Now, what they then do as they go through the swing is they actually push into the ground, and they actually start to torque their feet, and that torquing of the feet is what creates rotation. You have to think like a torque wrench. When you're using that, you're rotating something usually, so you're usually getting some sort of torque that creates the rotation. That's how this works. So what we'll see is they typically will push down, and then that causes their body to go up. And when they push, they actually rotate their foot, and specifically their trail foot, they rotate it where it feels like it's kind of twisting outward. So you don't see them actually do this. That's because they have spikes on, they have shoes on that have grip. But if you've ever seen a golf pro slip, you'll notice that they slip usually with this foot kind of moving back and moving away from the ball. That's the way they are pushing, and that then in turn generates hip turn. So instead of thinking about firing your hips, I want you to think about how you use the ground. You need to lower, and then you need to torque your feet to create that rotation. That body rotation is what will take you through to a finish. It'll help you stabilize the club face. It will do all these things. If you're somebody that comes in, when you come in and you say, hey, I need to just fire my hips, you're doing it through your back, you're going to have some issues. What do I typically see? Well, if you're doing it like that, typically you're going to start rotating way too early in the downswing. That in turn brings the club way over the top, and you're going to have a lot of issues with slicing. You have to realize the club face cannot close. The more you rotate, the club face has a harder time closing. That's why a lot of people like to rotate, because they don't want to hit a hook. But you also are going to have issues where the club path likes to stay more out. That's another reason why people that hit hooks, they like to work with that club path or the body and the hips turning and getting that feeling, because it makes your club path more to the left, something that a slicer already does really well. So think about going up and down in your swing. I guarantee you'll get more speed if you do this and if you start getting a feel for it. But I think you'll see how it can really improve your ability to make contact and really improve your ability to get the club face square and keep it square throughout your swing. So that's another thing that we don't want to do in a swing. So check it out, try it out, see what you think, and leave us a comment down below. How's it go for you? And as always, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you in the next video. Peace.